Emotional Freedom Techniques, EFT. The key modality that I have chosen to focus on in this program is Emotional Freedom Techniques, also known as tapping or EFT. EFT is fast, easy to self-administer, and is backed by scientific research. I love EFT because its foundation takes the best of both ancient Eastern wisdom and modern Western science. The basic EFT framework is so easy that it can be learned by children. It is simple yet effective. The shifts can be felt somatically. At advanced levels of guided sessions, the practitioner is able to use a combination of techniques to help the client. For example, using visualization, music, breathwork, mindfulness, meditation, and physical movement. It works well combined with other modalities. I also would like to encourage caution for those that have dealt with traumas or have medical histories. In such circumstances, you should engage a qualified practitioner. While EFT is safe and easy to use for daily use, I'm not a doctor, and hence any medical advice related to a mental health condition has to be carried as per appropriate channels. How did I find EFT?
Wow, that's a great question.
I was just 28 years old. For the first time in my life, I found myself lying in a hospital bed in the intensive care unit. The diagnosis was pancreatitis, and I ended up spending several weeks in that hospital. During that time, I was placed nil by mouth, withholding all food and fluid. My pancreas needed time to heal. Even a slight movement caused agony. To keep the pain at bay, my body was pumped full of opioids like morphine and OxyContin. No food, no fluid, and intensive narcotics. I was wasting away day by day. Weight, muscle, energy, strength, and vigor, becoming weak and enfeebled. Over time, my body became addicted to opioids, but the impact they had on my mind was another matter altogether. I began hallucinating, and it felt as real as breathing. I would see and feel insects and spiders and snakes crawling all over my body. Worse, I would see imagery of myself, a side of me that was violent, dangerous, and one that I couldn't recognize. I later discovered that fear, lack of self-worth, and pain, combined with repressed trauma from childhood, had created this agony. Now, can you imagine losing the complete faculties of your mind? Because I did. It was one of the most difficult periods of my life, but I count myself very lucky and privileged to be in a country that provides rehabilitation. In addition to physiotherapy at the hospital, where I learned to walk again, I was also placed under the care of the New South Wales Mental Health Plan, where I had access to psychiatrists, psychologists, and counsellors. During one of the sessions with the psychologist, the practitioner asked me to tap on my face and body while I was responding to her sessions. The session felt extremely weird at first. I was yawning, burping, and experienced water coming out of my eyes. I was not crying or tired, but it felt like something was releasing. After the session, I felt lighter, invigorated, and sometimes energized. I could not explain why, but my body felt different. So that was my first exposure to EFT. And this was the beginning of my journey of self-discovery into various mind-body modalities.
One stage of your journey is over, another begins.
What is EFT? My former teacher, professor at Bond University and noted award-winning psychologist, Dr. Peter Stapleton, provides an explanation of EFT in the Ultimate Tapping Guide. EFT is a groundbreaking technique combining psychotherapy and acupressure, bringing together elements of exposure, cognitive therapy, and somatic stimulation. Commonly known as tapping, EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. EFT developers see it as being similar to acupuncture, but without the needles. And it has been referred to as psychological acupuncture. As with acupuncture, EFT stimulates various pressure points on the face and the body to relieve stress, which then alleviates many psychological-based concerns. EFT is a powerful self-applied stress reduction method based on extensive research that shows emotional distress contributes greatly to illness. EFT is not a super involved process that requires years of practice and dedication to master. Instead, it is the simple act of using two-fingered tapping technique to stimulate various pressure points on the body. Effective tapping results in the calming effect on the amygdala. As such, EFT can play a crucial role in relieving stresses and calming your nerves, allowing you to manage the flight, fight, or freeze responses that the amygdala triggers. In doing so, EFT gives you the capacity to make more rational decisions.
A prudent course of action.
Clinical research of EFT. Dr. David Feinstein, clinical psychologist and national director of the Energy Medicine Institute, digs deeper into the concept that lies behind tapping. He defines EFT as a form of energy psychology and explains that more than 100 peer-reviewed clinical trials and 4 meta-analytic reviews suggest that stimulating a prescribed set of acupressure points can improve outcomes in the treatment of a range of conditions, from depression to generalized anxiety to post-traumatic stress disorder. He highlights that EFT is based on the concept that all of our disturbances and problems stem from the issues within our internal energetic system. With EFT, you provide relief to these internal systems, ensuring that they are able to cope and operate effectively. EFT is easily understood in the mainstream as a stress reduction technique purely because it's effective in reducing distress. This simplifies the concept somewhat while ignoring the wider effects that EFT has on your entire emotional infrastructure. In a 2018 study published in the Journal of Evidence-Based Integrative Medicine, researchers shared several statistics that highlight how EFT improves several physiological markers of health. It demonstrated happiness increased by 31% in those using EFT, anxiety decreased by 40%, depression decreased by 35%, PTSD symptoms decreased by 32%. Even on a physical level, the use of EFT leads to a 57% reduction in pain, 37% decrease in the presence of the stress hormone cortisol. Immune system markers went up by 113%, and food cravings declined by 74%. To summarize, EFT is a useful tool to manage stress, anxiety, and depression. In the next section, we will work through some exercises to gauge if you experience any of these symptoms.